This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 422 of the Dressage Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network, brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products and TotalSaddleFit.com. Tonight we're going to interview Bridget Hay about breeding, training, and competing her stallion Faolan. Also, Erin Freeman is going to join us for a great trainer tip.
This is Reese Koffler-Stanfield from Georgetown, Kentucky.
And this is Philip Parks from Rockwood, Ontario, and you're listening to the Dressage Radio Show. Hey, Reese.
Well, hello, Phil. How are you today?
I'm doing good. What's up with you?
What's up? We've just been training like crazy this week. It's been a big week for us. Not gonna lie. I've been training, and that was sort of the goal this summer. And the boys and I are a little sore and tired. I won't lie, but it's all very good, and they're doing great. How about you? What have you been up to?
Actually, this is a bit of a slower week for me. So, we've been working on a few things. Cleaning up the tests. Getting prepared for the next show. But I'm actually taking Friday off. We're going to go visit my wife's family in the nation's capital, and that's about it. I think everybody's getting prepared. Canada's going to be.
What is the nation's capital in Canada?
What is the nation's capital? You don't know? It's Ottawa. It's Ottawa. Just so you know.
Yeah, I was like, maybe not. I was going to Google it super fast.
That's about 5 hours from where I live. It's in kind of up more northeastern Ontario, and it's where the Parliament is, and all of our, it's our capital.
And are there? I would assume that there's a lot of museums, and tell us a little bit about Ottawa. I don't know anything about Ottawa.
Ottawa has, a lot of the culture things, like you said, museums, and it is the home of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. They have their main headquarters there. If anyone's ever, kind of seen the musical ride, which is like a giant quadrille of like, I don't know, it must be like 30 horses or so, where they're all, the mounted police are in their, all Canada garb. They wear the red jackets, right? And then
so cool.
Yeah, that's sort of an interesting thing. We should maybe pursue that for, if not our show, for the network, the Mounties,
Yes.
Because they breed their own they have their own Canadian breeding program.
Really?
They train riders. So in almost all cases, the riders, are police officers that then qualify and apply to become part of the they call it the musical ride. And so they learn to ride through the police, and that's kind of cool, right?
That's so cool. Oh my God, I love it. Yes, we should. I think we should go there.
We should investigate that
field trip for the Dressage Radio Show. I love it. Yeah. Oh my God, that's so cool. Well, I hope you guys have a really good weekend. Our country is going to be 150
years old, like I said, in a couple of weeks. So that's kind of a big deal. It's being promoted a lot, and so
I bet there's going to be lots of parties and barbecues.
Well, it's not going to be. Yeah, that's not going to be this weekend. We're going early so that we kind of miss that giant festivities.
Yes, probably good. Hopefully it'll be set up and ready.
We're going there. We're kind of going there to see family and whatever. So it's not, it's like, we're not there for. I have been there for Canada Day before, and it's crazy. And there's huge fireworks and big concerts and stuff that's going to be going on next week. And so I just want a quiet week away. I think that's our plan.
Yeah, week away. Awesome. Well, enjoy for sure. Sure. I love it. Well, we also got some really good news today about a friend, Olivia Lugoy-Welts and Laura Graves, both friends of the show. So how did they do in Rotterdam?
Well, Laura won the Grand Prix. Yeah. I'm just looking for a score here. Anyways, Laura Graves is first. We know that for sure. The Dutch rider, Madeleine Witte-Vries, is second, and then Olivia Lugoy-Welts was third. Let's see who else is showing in this competition. Oh, Casey Perry Glass, right? Was actually ninth in this show. A lot of big scores here. all the way to 10th, they were above 70%. So that's pretty fantastic.
That's awesome.
So congratulations! It looks like the USA is in first right now for the Nations Cup, and that's good results. Really big results.
Yeah, and I snagged the scores. Laura Graves was a 79.460, and Olivia Logoy-Welts on Lenoir was a 74.580, and that's her personal best. And Casey Perry on Dublé is 71.560. And we're super happy for all those girls. They've all been on the show and great friends of ours. So super pumped for them. So we are working on trying to get them on for next week. Can't promise anything because they're training, but we would love to get them on. So, but we've got a great show today. We're really looking forward to today. We're going to have Bridget Hay on. She's our next guest after this commercial, and she's got a great story with her stallion Faolan.
This Nutrition Minute is brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products, the company that simplifies your search for research-proven nutritional supplements at kppusa.com.
The horse that matters to you matters to Kentucky Performance Products. Electrolytes. Who needs them? Your horse, that's who. Electrolytes perform critical functions within your horse's body. They help regulate nerve and muscle functions by carrying electrical impulses between cells. In addition, electrolytes assist the body in maintaining a healthy fluid balance by controlling your horse's desire to drink. When your horse loses significant amounts of electrolytes and fluids, problems such as dehydration, muscle cramping, fatigue, tying up, and colic may occur. Even in mild forms, these conditions can have a negative impact on your horse's ability to perform and recover after exercise. Top riders and veterinarians turn to Summer Games Electrolyte to keep their horse healthy in hot weather, and you can too. Summer Games replenishes the electrolytes and trace minerals lost when your horse sweats, and it stimulates the thirst response so your horse continues to drink and stay properly hydrated. So when the going gets hot, trust Summer Games Electrolyte from Kentucky Performance Products to protect your horse.
This Nutritional Minute has been brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products. You can find all of their terrific products at kppusa.com.
Well, tonight we are so happy to have Bridget Hay, FEI rider, trainer, breeder from New Jersey on the program. Bridget, welcome to the show.
How are you guys?
We are so happy to have you. And I've known you. You and I met a couple years ago when we were both doing the 6-year-old championships in Chicago. And I've been, we became friends, and I've been following you on Facebook and seeing how you and your stallion have been doing. And you guys made it to the national championships this year at Intermediate 1. And I didn't realize that you bred him. You have done everything with this guy. So that was what we wanted to talk about, is what is it like to sort of start a horse like that from the beginning and get him to the national championships?
It's awesome. It's very, I find it pretty, it was very cool. It's very rewarding when you've had them since absolute day they were born. And I had, Faolan was the second brother I had of that full, I had 2 full brothers. And the horse, you might not know, the horse before him, Fit, was to me, he was my horse of a lifetime. And I lost him at least 3 years in September, and he was a full brother to Faolan. And I lost him as an 11-year-old right before he was ready to do the Grand Prix. And that was to laminitis, and I would have done anything to save him. And Faolan, when Fitz was 5, we realized how nice he was. And that's when I went, and we recreated that cross. And Faolan is a product of that cross. This is why we left him a stallion, because we realized how nice Fitz was. And I had kind of regret that he was gelding. So that's how Faolan came to be. And he has really kind of stepped up to the plate and filled his older brother's shoes now. So
Bridget, can you tell us a little bit about the mare and the bloodlines and the choice of the breeding when you did the first time, and kind of why you think it worked so well? Just give us a little bit of from the breeder perspective, what led to the decision to make this pair and to make
cross.
These 2 horses. Yeah.
So Ming, their mother, Wyoming, was by a stallion named Velt Stern, who was by Velt Az. And Velt Az was the sire of Anki's old horse Bonfire. That's the mare line of them both. Out of this, that's the mare line of my horse, of Faolan. And they're by a stallion named Freestyle, who stands, well, no, he just died last year, actually. In Vancouver, Canada right now is who owned him the last number of years. Jennifer Arnold owned him the last number of years. He's a son of Florstan. What is Freestyle family? I want to say it starts with a P, Pilox or something. It's not Pilote because that's Jumper. I can't remember the damn one. But he's a Florstan son, and they look like that, like the classic Florstan. And they have such incredible work ethics. I don't know if you've worked with them before, but I love their work ethics. Those horses, Fitz and Faolan, the one thing about them both is that every time we go down center line, those horses try harder for me. They give me everything. And Faolan, he has a heart of gold. He never says no. And he is just so rock solid for me. And I love showing him because I know when I go in the ring, he's going to try his hardest for me.
Yeah, that's incredible. And you really have done so well with him. And this year was a big year for him, wasn't it? What was kind of the lead up to this year where you made to the national championships at small tour level?
Last year, yeah. So this year I decided, we did Devon last year, which was our very first CDI. He did the pre-St. George and I won, and he placed in the top 10 out of 30 horses, I think, in the I-1, and he was only 7 years old then. And then we did Kentucky. I think I saw you actually at the U.S. Final.
Yeah.
National Championships. We did the pre-St. George and I won in Kentucky last year. And my goal this year was to go to Florida and to do CDIs and kind of see where it led. It was my really first year ever doing CDIs, and his too, because he's just 8. So we were both kind of green at it. And it's a whole different league in the CDI ring.
Yes.
But it's awesome. And to me, the only way to get better is to compete against the best. And you go from we were doing okay in the national ring. We'd also, he'd win a bit, and then you go in the CDI ring, and you're lucky when we were in the middle of the pack, but at least we weren't last. But it's the only way to get better.
And Bridget, tell us what is different about, it is a totally different league. So tell us, what do you mean by that? What is the difference between sort of the national and the CDI level there?
The judging is tougher. They nitpick everything, which they should, they'll be you weren't, you didn't, what did they write? Your pirouette were not clear enough of where you were going. They want it so clear. And I get, I know it just made me a better rider, made me really plan every time you ride, where you start your changes, where you position everything, the quality of the trot the whole time, try to maintain that cadence the whole time, which is easier said than done.
Yeah, for sure. Especially a younger horse. Yeah, exactly.
And soft and through. And the biggest challenge that we were having was, he's so young. It was before he turned 8, and he'd get tired. And one time we wound up doing 2 CDIs back to back in Florida, which was a lot because, we were there on Wednesday through Sunday because they made, I don't know if you saw, they made the I-1 freestyle mandatory in Florida. So we had to do it every show. And of course, I go to Florida, quite honestly, if you want to know the truth, I'd never ridden a freestyle in my life. Not even at first level of a schooling show. I'd never done a freestyle. So
sorry.
I went in the worst, okay? Because when I saw that the national championships was at Gladstone, I was like, oh my God, that would be such a dream come true, right? To try to qualify. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, right? Let's just go see how we do in Florida, one step at a time here. We need to go train. We need to go work with the best down there, get some help, and see how we do, just get our feet wet in the CDI ring and, see if it's even a possibility. So I had a freestyle in the works, but I've never ridden one. So boy, was I surprised when we found out that we had to show it. I was like, oh my God, I'm doing it in a week in a CDI. Nothing like trial by fire. Okay. So that's how that went. And it was okay. And
how did it go though? Tell us how that first freestyle.
It's okay. Like, we were in the upper 60s of space, and it wasn't that bad. Like, and I came out there and I was like, that was fun. I don't know what I was just doing, but that was really fun. And it was fine. Like, it was actually worked out, considering I had never ridden a freestyle ever. It was good. It was good. We actually, it's not like we ever forgot a movement, or because I know you can do that, or, do a double pirouette and get yourself eliminated. We didn't do anything like that. So it was fun, but yeah, a little stressful right there. I was like trying to learn it and try to get the music. And I do find that, like, the quality of the riding when you start riding a freestyle kind of goes out the window because you're trying to stay with the music. I'm like, are we walking? Oh crap, walk next. Like, it's a little bit it's hard to, like, have it as fluid when you're also listening to the music. Like, are we ahead of it? We're slow. Oh crap, But it was fun.
It's hard. Yeah,
it was fun. Yeah. But yeah, that was
just a matter of practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was a matter of practice. And then after I had Florida, we did the 3 CDIs there. And like I said, I was learning how to manage him as we went at the shows, because he would get tired, and he was, he's young. So that was a lot of showing for him. And the other riders in the CDI barn, I have to say, were absolutely awesome. They kind of, like, took me under and helped me so much. They were like, there should be a CDI handbook. And I was like, oh my God, that would be great. Because they were helping me with what to give him, what was, like, what they give their horses that helps with muscle recovery, but what's legal, because obviously you can't give anything really in the CDI barn, but just, like, supplements and stuff like that help them, their muscles to recover. They would lend me their massage blanket, like, when his back would get sore. And yeah, they were so helpful. Like, thank God. I was so glad.
Which is true. Yeah.
Nice to have a community, right?
Yeah, which is true. I think at the CDI level, in some ways, it's a little bit more like that. Actually, I always found the CDI was easier than the national level, because everybody is.
I had, like, who was our best riders in the country helping me. Like, they were awesome. They were fantastic. And I was so lucky to be stable with them all. And they would go watch each other. And then it was great because at Gladstone, I was with the same group again. So it felt like all of them, I was like, I'm like home and you're all here. This is great, So it was like a reunion, it felt like, then at Gladstone with them all. So it was really fun.
Yeah. And how was the national championship? Is that your first time competing there?
Yeah, that was my very first time. And Gladstone is so historic. I mean, it's such a gorgeous barn and facility. And it's, I grew up going there as a kid because I'm local here. We would go every year and watch, the national championships. And back then it was show jumping and dressage and combined driving all at once. It was a huge event. Like, they would bus people in. And of course, as a kid, we'd go there and, everyone was in awe of it. And you dream of riding there. So to actually qualify for it when it's in New Jersey in my backyard was a really big deal. And everyone's like, you have the loudest cheering crowd, because I'm a hometown person. Like, everybody I know came because they were so, like, excited that we were there. So yeah, it was so much fun. Like, when I got to Gladstone, I'm like, I'm not coming here. I don't expect to win. I'm just so happy I'm here. That was like, I've already won. I'm here. That was my goal. So yeah, it was a blast. It was just fun. And then at the end of the day, Sunday, I was like, okay, guys, I'm going home, because I could just, and they're like, you're that close? I'm like, yeah, I'm only a half hour away. So yep.
Yeah, well, there you go. Very handy.
And it was so much fun. And I did wind up doing Tryon right before to try to pull up my scores, because it was close, and I really was like, I did not feel solid enough that I would get the invitation, because I knew where I was ranked. So, but I also knew that my horse felt that much stronger and better after Florida. So I kind of figured it was worth a shot to go to Tryon to try to pull up my score a little bit, which it did, to make it to Gladstone. So it was a lot. It was a lot of traveling, but it was fun. I mean, it was awesome to see Tryon too. So, and it helped me to make it to my goal, which was Gladstone. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. So what's next? Where do you and Faolan go next?
I know, right? What's next? I feel like, so this summer, we're mostly just training for, to move him up, hopefully eventually the Grand Prix. I don't know if that was going to be next year or not. But this fall, my plan is to do Devon and the Saugerties back to back. The Devon CDI Small Tour and same thing at NITA, which is in Saugerties, I think, instead of regionals, because we can't do both up there because it's the same days. So I think I'll put him in the CDI, and I'll show a young horse in the regional championships instead. But yeah, but I'm kind of bummed because that means he doesn't get to go to the U.S. I won't see. He won't go to Kentucky this year then in the U.S. finals if I don't do regionals. But that's okay.
Yeah, I know. We'll miss you.
I know. Well, I might be out there with another horse probably, just not with him.
Yeah, you can only fit so much in, right?
I know I can only fit so much in, and then I'm also toying with the idea because he's doing really well. The Piaf and the Passage are coming, and now that I'm not showing, I can work on the ones. And when I'm showing, I can't show the ones because then when I start to do twos, they start to do ones.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we're not showing, I can train the ones again. I never touched on them all through Florida because I was like, it's gonna screw us up. So now I'm starting to work on that stuff again. And I'm tempted to maybe like late summer do a national like IA or B. I don't know. We'll see where we're at. He's getting there. So
cool. That's fantastic.
That's good.
Yeah.
So getting back to the breeding thing a little bit, like when you ride and train these horses that you kind of homebred, do you ever think about like, oh, well, that he gets that from his mother or he gets that from his father, and try and relate that at all? Is that into your mind?
Oh yeah. And I see similarities in a lot of them. So because I have right now I've got 4 all by his dad. I've got 4 by that dad. Yeah. 4 freestyles right now, and I have to say every one of them has a great mind and work ethic. Some of them get a little bit hotter, a little lookier, will a bit just look at things. But at a horse, I do find that if they look at things a little bit at home, those same ones at the show don't, because at the horse shows, they always look to me, which is so nice. So they totally have complete trust in the rider. So even if they're a little looky at things, they're not at the show. They're totally with me, even if they're a bit scared of something. Although my stallion, he doesn't look at anything. He's like unflappable, which is so cool. He's just like doesn't care.
Is he also a breeding stallion, or do you just have him as a stallion?
I have not bred him yet because he's so good. I'm so afraid. One day I want to breed him, but I'm so worried like it could change him. I'm a little paranoid about that. So I'll breed him eventually, and I've had a lot of people ask me, and I'm like, but I will be kicking myself if it changed anything. And he is so good, and he has such an awesome work ethic, and he never looks at other horses in the ring or anything, that I'm just so worried that it could change that. Because right now, for me, he's a show horse first and foremost,
Mm-hmm.
So he can do that later in life.
I love it.
Sense.
Yeah. Well, Bridget, thank you so much for coming on the program and talking to us about your story. How can our listeners find you online?
Mainly on my Facebook page. I just have a personal page with my name, Bridget Hay, and it's less public. I don't have a website or my email, which is Bridget, BRIDGET, .hay, HAY, @hotmail.com. You can get me that way too. So, or you could private message me.
Fantastic. Online. Thanks so much, Bridget.
Thank you so much for having me, you guys. It was fun.
Well, Phil, we've got a slight revision from last week's discussion with Sarah Geeky, which I thought was fantastic and really informative for me as well. But Sarah did mention in the interview that we needed to
look up. Yeah, we had to look up the precise details about the turn on the haunches and the size of the turn on the haunches that's described in the rules. So,
yes.
Reese, you looked it up and you found it?
I did. Well, I will say Sarah actually looked it up and Facebooked me. So, but the turn on the...
and I couldn't.
Yeah, it was hard. I looked it up too. I couldn't find it. So she has the judges' books and she was able to find it. And the turn on the haunches has a 1 meter radius that the hind legs can make. So that is that clarification. So that was a great
aiming for.
Yep, that's
So
for
usually I
training.
tell my second level people that if it's 2 meters, 3 meters, it's fine. Just keep the quality of the walk, keep the
Mhm,
concept of the walk pirouette correct.
mhm.
Without losing the rhythm, and you can work towards making it smaller and smaller
Yes, a 1 meter
um, towards a
radius.
pirouette, which is basically no meters radius, right?
Right, the size of it. Yes, exactly.
So bigger
So
is okay, but 1 meter is perfect,
1 meter.
right?
1 meter is perfect. So fantastic. Well, we are going to come back now with our total saddle fit tip of the week. I hope you enjoy.
This week's dressage training tip is brought to you by Total Saddle Fit, home of the shoulder relief girth at totalsaddlefit.com.
Well, for this week's Total Saddle Fit Tip of the Week, we have Erin Freeman. She is an FEI rider and trainer, but also a 3-star event rider. And she's worked in Germany with Ingrid Klemke, and she is going to go over Cavalettis. Erin, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
This is a big topic actually, and we're so happy to have you on because you're going to know exactly what's going on and sort of help us or start us through Cavaletti's 101. When do you use them? How do you prepare them? All of that stuff.
All right. Well, I think they're excellent. So if you need to break up the dressage routine, they're an excellent source to just give your horse a little bit of break from their daily routine. It also gets them moving super nice and loose through their body, and it's also a form of strength training. So there's so many things, like endless amounts of things you can do with Cavalettis, and learning from Ingrid was just about the coolest thing in the world. She is a master at it, as was her father, and it's so cool to see her in action. And she incorporates them every week into her work, both on the lunge line and off. So the best way to introduce Cavalettis is to start simply with them on the ground, rolled all the way down. So there's so many types out there. I'm just going to go with the basic, the basic Cavaletti that has an X on both sides that has about 3 different heights. Start with them completely on the ground, and if your horse has never gone over, one of the best things to do is just walk them back and forth over it until they're comfortable, and you do that at the trot and at the canter, just getting them super comfortable. And then then you just add them slowly and incorporate it in your workout. And one of my favorite exercises, and this is, like I said, this is a little bit more advanced, but this is something to work up to, is having trot pull Cavalettis on a 20-meter circle and having 3 canter pull Cavalettis on a circle. And they don't even have to be raised for this exercise. You can start with them on the ground and maybe have 4 trot pulls and 3 canter pulls. And like I said, add them one at a time while you get your horse used to it. And it's an amazing exercise. Have the horse trot the trot pulls and then do a transition to canter to do the canter pulls and then back to trot over the trot pulls. And the rideability you get out of that exercise is absolutely phenomenal. I do it with both my horses on the lunge and under saddle, and start teaching them from youngsters. And if you ever just need a break from your routine to do some rideability and strength training, that is an excellent exercise, and there's so many different things you can do with it.
So, Erin,
Yep.
I was going to ask you about spacing, walk spacing,
Yeah.
trot spacing, canter spacing.
Okay. Yep. So, the way I have learned to measure it is through meters, but you can also translate that into feet. When you are doing canter Cavalettis, and say you have them on a 20-meter circle, then the inside should be 2 meters and the outside should be 3 meters. For me, that's basically 2 big walk steps on the inside and 3 big walk steps on the outside. And then for the trot pulls, you want to think about maybe between 1.2 and 1.5 meters in between each trot pull. And again, for me, I do 1 foot in front of the other, and it takes me 5.5 steps. So for a normal person, I would say about 5 steps.
Yeah, I think it's about 4. I don't have especially big feet, but I usually try and do about 4.
Yeah, and for a guy, I would say 4. Yep.
Yeah.
So
And the
that's sorry.
Walk.
And for walk Cavalettis, then I do about so for me I do 0.9 meters for the walk. And you can, if you want it, say you have a horse that has you want to either lengthen this walk or shorten this walk, you can play with the spacing of those. So make it down to like maybe 0.8 if you need to shorten it up, or grow it to 1 meter if you need to lengthen the walk stride out. But I also, walk Cavalettis are super, say you have a horse that kind of rushes in the walk and gets a little bit quick, put a couple walk Cavalettis in your path to slow them down rather than having to use your reins to slow them down. And it does help a lot.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, that's fantastic. So just go over those real quick again. Canter is how many meters?
The spacing. Okay, so the canter poles, if you want to have them, so basically 3 meters if they're on a straight line, but if you have them on a 20-meter circle, so that the inside would be closer, the outside would be a little bit further apart, it would be 2 meters on the inside and 3 meters on the outside. Which ends up being about two big steps and on the inside, and then 3 big steps on the outside of a human footstep.
Perfect. Trot.
So for trot, you want them to be around 1.5 meters. So that ends up being about, if you put toe to heel, 5 steps toe to heel. If you have bigger feet, then 4 steps toe to heel, but 1.5 meters in measurement. And then for walk should be about 0.9 meters. And like I said, you can lengthen or shorten that given what you need to do in the exercise.
Got it. So when you talk about the height of the Cavalettis, normally, like you said, the Cavalettis have 3 heights. And when do you change the height? I mean, when do you decide, like, okay, I'm going to use the middle or the higher section, which for me looks like a jump. I'm just saying. It's kind of jumpy.
So I was going to say that definitely depends on you as the rider. I tend to, so say if you have a horse that's very earthbound, you're gonna want to eventually get to the point where you can lift that up to the highest part, so that you get them to lift through their shoulders, and it lift through their hind end and lift through the shoulders without having to do it yourself. Let the Cavaletti do the work. But I do really recommend everyone to start with it completely on the ground, especially if you haven't done it before. And once they're comfortable, you just slowly build, like you would for jumping, just slowly build into the next step and then to the next step. Now, when you're doing trot poles, most of the time you just stay it at the medium, I would say at the medium height, like either the lowest or the medium height. The canter poles are really fun when you put them all the way up. So there's more jump in the canter.
For Erin. And Phil, maybe.
Erin, that was really fun. Just doing
for Erin, just doing jumpy. That's jumpy. That's jumpiness. That's jumping. That's jumping.
And I can't reiterate it enough. It's an exercise to get your horse to move through their body stronger and confident. So if the height frightens you as a rider, definitely start it lower so that you don't end up pulling on your horse and, getting all worried, because that would defeat the purpose of the exercise. Because you really want the horse to kind of do the work and figure it out. You as the rider just stay balanced and stay put to try and keep the rhythm of the horse.
So, Erin, when you were, sorry, I was going to ask you, when you were in Germany and, obviously Ingrid does this, you're doing this every week. Was there any kind of surprising results that you got from horses that you were riding, or any experiences from what you saw that was like, oh, I didn't know that just doing Cavalettis would fix this or solve that. Was there any of those experiences that you could relate to us?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing is how happy it made the horses. They loved it. So it ended up being a really fun day. I saw it change horses' flying changes drastically. And another really cool exercise that was set up, which might be a little hard to describe over the radio, but was having Cavalettis in a little bit of a wide V. And I saw it immensely help horses' pirouette work, because they used the Cavalettis and incorporated it in the pirouette work, which was really neat. But what I saw is it gave horses a chance to happily move through their body without, too much influence of the rider, and just basically give them something else to do. So what the greatest results were the next day. And then and probably, I'd say the coolest thing also too was like the ease of the transitions, because we did so much transitions in the Cavaletti. And especially even if you have your horse do it on the lunch, it is amazing to get on afterwards and how nice and through the transitions end up being.
That sounds
Fantastic.
amazing.
So, Erin, if you were just to kind of give somebody a kind of a fun beginner exercise, like, okay,
Yep.
tomorrow we're going to go out and we're going to, and let's say the horse already knows how to go over poles. So we've kind of gotten through that stage. Give us one or two exercises that we could use.
All right. Does the rider go through poles too, or just the horse?
Yeah, the rider goes through poles. Yeah, rider can go through poles and horse can
Everybody's
go through
good.
poles. Yeah, everybody can go over. Yes, maybe not jump, but over.
Okay.
So, yeah, what would be a fun exercise?
So honestly, what I would simply do is I would put 3 to 4 trot poles on a 20-meter circle and have the rider stay right in the middle on the 20-meter circle. And that would be their goal, to not let the horse drift left or right in the trot poles. And then in between, even without canter cavalettis, pick up the canter on the open end and then back to trot, and then pick up the canter on the open end. So that would be one simple starting exercise. And do that with the trot poles on the ground. Like, you don't even have to have them raised. But so that's one. Another one that I love, even for my dressage horses, is just simply set a rail like down the long side. Set a rail and set them, you can do anything. You can do 24 feet apart. You can do 36 feet apart, and then canter through them and see if you can change the striding by collecting them or making them lengthen, and see if you can just get them to open and close their canter and kind of play a game with yourself and count. Can I get 4 strides? Can I get 5? Can I get 6? And it's not that you need to change the poles. You just leave them there and just kind of play with how many strides you get in between, which is another really fun, fun kind of just carefree exercise that gets you thinking, gets your horse thinking, and kind of just a different approach to working with a canter.
I love it. That is so cool. Well, Erin, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight and talking to us about cavalettis. This has been a huge question, and you are just the perfect person to answer it. So how can our listeners find you online?
They can find me via email, which is ebfriedman@gmail.com, and then on Facebook under Erin Brooke Friedman or EBF Sport Horses. I have a Facebook page for my business as well, and I have a website that is ebfsporthorseswordpress.com.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and you are great. We've got you on your commute on a ferry ride, so you've been perfect to do it. I don't think we've ever done an interview with someone on a ferry before, so that's pretty fun.
Well, it made it much more enjoyable, so thank you.
Excellent. Well, have a good night. Thanks, Erin.
Thank you. You too.
This tip was brought to you by Total Saddle Fit, the shoulder relief girth that Reese and Phillip both love. And here's why.
The saddle fit solution you have been waiting for is finally here. TotalSaddleFit.com is proud to introduce the shoulder relief girth. This strategically shaped girth actually moves the girth line of your saddle back over 1 inch, thereby freeing your horse's shoulders from the saddle. Traditional girths pull saddles up against a horse's shoulders and often over the top of the shoulders. The shoulder relief girth's recessed ends allow for the billets to buckle into the girth farther back to give your horse unparalleled freedom of motion. We are so certain that your saddle will fit better and your horse will be more comfortable that for a limited time we are offering a 30-day, 110% money-back guarantee. If you are not totally satisfied with your shoulder relief girth, send it back for a full refund plus 10% of the purchase price. Don't wait. Order now for the best saddle fit solution available.
At TotalSaddleFit.com. Visit TotalSaddleFit.com.
Well, as always, everybody keep the emails and Facebook shout-outs coming. We love them, and we always enjoy. We've got a few in the queue that we will get to in the next couple weeks. And as always, you can find our show notes and links to today's guest on our website, dressageradio.com. Like us on Facebook, just search Dressage Radio Show. Follow us on Twitter at Horse Radio. My website is maplecrestfarmky.com, and my email is reese@horseradionetwork.com.
I think the best way to find me is on Facebook, or my email is philip@horseradionetwork.com. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week for allowing us to put on a good show. And don't forget to check out all the other shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.
Everybody, keep your heels down and your shoulders back, and we'll talk to you next week.